So today's lecture is about types of vegetable gardens. There are different types of vegetable gardens based on the purpose for which they are grown, right? So there are different gardens like home garden or kitchen garden, market gardens, truck gardens, gardens for processing, gardens for vegetable forcing, gardens for seed production, floating vegetable gardens, container gardens, roof gardens, and organic gardens, right? So the purpose of each garden is different. So first one is the kitchen garden or home garden or nutrition garden, and this is known as nutrition garden because it is providing nutrition to our family. So vegetables can be grown in the backyard of a house to meet the requirements of a family all around the year, right? So in the kitchen garden, the area that is spare area in a house can be utilized to grow vegetables, and it can meet the requirements of a family, right? So what is the importance of kitchen garden? uh, we can use the spare land in our house very efficiently and effectively to grow the vegetables, and these vegetables can be used for a family, right? So this gardens saves money as vegetables are costly in the market, and we do not need money to buy the vegetables from the market as we are growing all the vegetables in our house, in the backyard of our house, right? And it constitutes a very healthy hobby, and the spare time of family is well utilized, right? And kitchen gardening should be aimed at giving a continuous supply of vegetables to a family throughout the year. So different types of vegetables can be grown in a kitchen garden throughout the year, right? So seasonal vegetables can be grown in summer season vegetables can be grown, and in winter season vegetable crops can be grown. So throughout the year vegetables can be supplied to the family, and these vegetables are free from any pesticide residues because these are grown organically, and these are very good in the point of health view. And we can also educate, we can train our children, and we can develop a sense of cooperation in our children. If we are growing vegetables at our house, we can educate them about different vegetable crops, we can tell them about the different growing seasons of the vegetables, okay? And we can also develop a sense of cooperation in our children, right? So this is an example of kitchen garden. Different types of vegetables are grown in a kitchen garden, right? So all the seasonal crops can be grown in a garden in a small piece of land, right? So in this garden you can see that onions are grown, cauliflower, coriander, and some vines are also grown. Now next one is the market gardening or peri-urban vegetable farming. So market gardens are the gardens which are providing vegetables for the local market, right? So in this type of garden, in market garden, intensive type of vegetable farming methods are followed, right? So this play an important role in providing self-employment. It enhances the food security. It is helpful in poverty alleviation. We can manage the waste properly, as the waste from the crops, waste from the trees, plants can be used efficiently for mulching in the vegetables, and it also provide environmental sustainability. And what is the importance of market garden? This type of garden produces vegetables for local market, and most of the market gardens are located within 15 to 20 kilometers of a city. The cropping pattern of the garden will depend upon the demand of the local market, right? So whatever is the demand of local market, that cropping pattern will be followed in the market gardens, right? So the most important consideration is to develop a clearly focused marketing plan before any vegetable crops are planted. So a person who is planting vegetables for a market garden, he should have a proper marketing plan. He should know about the marketing right? So before the growing the vegetable crops, he should know about the marketing plans. The land being costly, the intensive methods of cultivation are followed. So land near the market or near the cities is very costly. So intensive methods of cultivations are followed. Intensive methods means a number of different crops are grown on small piece of land, right? A market gardener will like to grow early varieties to catch the market early. So market gardener have to produce early varieties because the early varieties fetch high price in the market. All of you may know that if in the early varieties, like in the winter season, in the beginning of the winter season, the price of vegetables is quite higher as compared to the when the after 1 to 2 months of that season, right? So early variety should be grown. The market gardener should be a good salesman because he has to sell his own produce, right? So he should have good salesman skills, right? He must be a versatile person as he have to grow number of vegetables throughout the year. So because he have to grow number of vegetables throughout the year, so he must be a versatile personality. He must know about the different vegetable patterns. He must know about the different seasons, that which particular crops are suitable for the particular seasons, and what is the duration of the crops, and what are the cultivation practices that should be followed in particular different crops, right? So he must be a versatile personality as he has to grow a number of different vegetable crops throughout the year. The next one is truck gardening. So truck gardening means the production of vegetables at a large scale, and then these vegetables after harvesting, these are transported to the to different cities, to different places through trucks, right? And in this type of gardening, extensive methods are followed. Extensive methods means a particular crop is grown over a large piece of land, right? So this type of garden which produce special crops in relatively large quantities for distant markets. So special crops like onions are grown over a large area, and this is then transported to the distant markets, and potatoes are grown over a large area and these are transported, right? So truck gardens in general follow a more extensive and less intensive method of cultivation than market garden, right? So market garden follows an intensive method of cultivation, and our truck garden follows a extensive method of cultivation, right? Location of this type of garden is determined by the soil and climatic factors suitable for raising a particular crop. So, particular crop is grown over a large piece of land. So, the soil requirements and climatic factors are taken in mind before sowing or before growing a particular crop. The commodities are raised, these are generally sold through a middleman, right? So these commodities are generally sold through a middleman. A truck gardener should be a specialized person because a particular crop is grown on a large piece of land. So this person who is dealing with the crops, he must be a specialized person in that particular crop. He should be proficient in large scale cultivation and production and handling of some special crops. So he must know about all the cultivation practices, how to produce and how to handle all these special crops. He follows the mechanical method of cultivation, so the cost of cultivation is less. And with the development of quick and easy transport system, the distinction between market and truck garden is continuously diminishing, right? So these crops are quickly transported to the different cities, so the distinction between market garden as well as truck garden is diminishing. Next is vegetable gardens for processing, right? So number of vegetables are there, and number of different vegetables are being processed for different purposes, like for making chutneys, for making sauces, right? And these are transported to different countries, right? And there are a particular garden of a particular crop, and then these crops are sent for processing in the industry. So these gardens come up around vegetable processing factories, right? So wherever the vegetable processing factories are there, in that vicinity, the particular vegetables are grown. These mainly responsible for regular supply of vegetables to the factories, right? So earlier, only a few factories existed which were dependent upon purchases from the local markets, but nowadays, number of factories are existing, and they are not dependent upon the local markets only. They are dependent upon the vegetable gardens, which are there only for the particular processing purpose, right? The prospects of future development are quite bright as people's interest in the processing industry is growing. These gardens specialize in growing only a few vegetables in bulk, right? So in a factory of tomato sauce or tomato chutney, there will be gardens of tomatoes, right? So these gardens are specialized in only few vegetables which are processed, right? A heavier soil is chosen to obtain high and continuous yield rather than the early yield, right? So heavy soils are chosen so that we can obtain high yield as well as continuous yield of the particular crops. These gardens are required to grow particular varieties for canning, for dehydration or freezing, right? So different varieties are grown for the processing purpose. Next is vegetable forcing. Vegetable forcing means to grow the vegetables out of their normal season, right? So when we grow the vegetables out of their normal season, that is known as vegetable forcing, right? So greenhouse, cold frames, hotbeds, these are the common structures used for vegetable forcing. Hydroponics is also a type of vegetable forcing, and this is also called soilless culture. It allows the grower to practice automatic watering and fertilizing and reducing the cost of labor. So hydroponics is a technique by which growers do not need to water or fertilize the crops, because there is an automatic practice of watering and fertilization of the crops, and this will also reduce the cost of labor. The most common vegetable crops that are growing in the structures like greenhouses or cold frames or hotbeds, these are tomatoes, cucumber and capsicum. And sometimes for early produce, seedlings of tomato, brinjal, bell pepper, chili and cucurbits in poly bags are forced to germinate in small protected structures, right? So small protected structures are there, and we can produce seedlings of different crops before their normal season, right? So vegetables growing out of the normal season are known as the vegetable forcing technique. So there are different types of vegetable forcing. The one is protected cultivation and other is off-season vegetable cultivation under walk-in tunnels. So protected cultivation means we have to provide some structures, right, which can protect the vegetables from the surrounding environment, from very hot environment or from very cold environment, right? And off-season vegetable cultivation in the walk-in tunnels. So tunnels are made and off-season vegetables are grown inside those tunnels. Then vegetable gardens for seed production, right? So seed production, particularly for seed production, vegetable gardens are grown. So good seed is the base of any successful farming industry, right? So good seed production is done. Seed production is a specialized field of vegetable growing. A thorough knowledge of the crop, its growing habit, its mode of pollination, proper isolation distance, these are of prime importance for the quality seed production. Specialized knowledge is required to handle the seed crop for curing, for threshing, cleaning, grading, packing and storage, right? So there are different practices that are followed after harvesting of seeds. So that is curing, threshing to remove the seed from the trash, then cleaning the seeds, grading the seeds, packaging the seed, and then storage of the seed of the vegetables. There are different types of seeds like nucleus or breeder seed, foundation seed, and certified seed. So nucleus seed is produced by a person or organization which gives out the variety, right? So the organization that gives out the variety, it grows the nucleus seed or breeder seed, or it is known as nucleus seed or breeder seed. Then foundation seed, it is multiplied by government departments or by organization like National Seeds Corporation. Then certified or registered seeds, these are usually multiplied by growers. Then floating vegetable gardens. Floating vegetable gardens, this is a type of vegetable garden that is that can be seen in Dal Lake of Kashmir Valley. Okay, this kind of garden known as floating garden, it can be seen in the Kashmir Valley, right? In a lake of Kashmir Valley. So most of the summer vegetables are supplied to Srinagar from these gardens. So these gardens are made in lake, right? So floating base is made from the roots of taifa grass, and then on this base of taifa grass, the seedlings are transplanted, and then all the intercultural operations are done through boats, and occasionally there is a sprinkling of water on the vegetables. This is again done by the boats, and this type of vegetable cultivation is specialized technique and an art itself, right? So you can see the example of floating vegetable gardens, right? So this type of vegetable garden is done in Dal Lake of Kashmir Valley, right? In a lake, and there is a taifa grass known as taifa grass, which forms the base of these vegetables, and on this base these vegetables are grown, and then all the intercultural operations are done through boats, right? And then when these crops mature, then these are harvested and these are used for different cooking purposes, right? Then organic vegetable gardening. Vegetable crops used raised by the use of organic waste such as animal waste, plant waste, crop waste, farm waste, and biological materials. So no any chemical fertilizers or pesticides are added in the vegetable gardens, and only organic waste or manures are used to grow the vegetables, right? So select when we are growing organic gardens, we have to select the varieties which are resistant to insect and pest attack, which are resistant to diseases, and we have to grow those varieties which can escape the incidence of pest or diseases, right? So organic vegetable farming means growing of vegetable crops without any fertilizers or any sprays or any chemicals or any pesticides, right? And organic manures are used to grow these organic vegetable gardens, right? Next is container gardens. Container gardens means in big cities or urban areas, land is a big constraint. So people are not having land for the home garden or kitchen garden, so they can grow vegetables in the containers, and those containers can be kept in the space available in their backyard, in the terrace, veranda, balcony, right? And where there is a sunlight or sunshine is easily available, right? So container gardening can be done, and we can use large pots. 14-inch pots are plenty large for brinjal and cucumber, and 20-inch pots are worked well for tomatoes, right? So generally we should grow those vegetables which facilitate multiple harvest, like tomato or leafy vegetables, instead of single harvest. Okay, so in the container gardens we have to grow the vegetables which are having multiple harvest, right? And single harvest crops like cabbage or cauliflower cannot be grown in container gardens, because once we cut the cabbage or cauliflower head, then there will be only stubbles, and this will not grow again. Okay, so we have to grow only multiple harvest crops in the container gardens. That's all. Okay, thank you everyone.